Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Nate, and today we'll be getting into the curriculum evaluation for the school I did. So here we go. So the school I did was Praise Academy School. It is a private Christian school located in Powder Springs, Georgia. The school is attached to a church, Praise Tabernacle Church, and it serves grades K through 12 with a really small student body of only around 370. The PE specialist is Mr. Scott Weishart. My friend Shane, who actually goes to UGA and is a math education major, this is his brother. So that's why I chose this school so that I could have an in with the PE teacher there and someone to talk to. Mr. Weishart is 25 years old. This is his second year teaching, and he graduated from West Georgia. And finally, I only chose to focus on the high school curriculum of Praise Academy. High school is the grade level I hope to teach one day. So I didn't want to look at all of it because I thought that would be too many grades. So I only focused on the high school curriculum. So like I said, the focus was just on high school, so ninth to 12th grade. I would say the curriculum works kind of like on a quasi-sport education. I'll show you later on a breakdown of their curriculum and like a map they have for the year. But they teach through sport, so they teach movement through sport and they teach skills through sport. But they don't use the different roles of sport education like being a referee or being a coach or something like that. They just use the sport in general. Something I forgot to add in the slide, I'm sorry. But the breakdown of gender is almost split even. There's 49% female and 51% male. And if you look at the breakdown of the student population, it's about 65% white and 31% black. Then you have 4% that is more than one race. And then Hispanics/Latino, Asian Pacific Islander, and Native American all make up around 1%. So that's about the demographic of the school. So moving into the program goals, because Praise Academy is first and foremost a Christian school, they say that they put it on like not a disclaimer, but like a mission statement for all of their courses and all of their subjects, regardless of what it is. They say that they believe in the Bible and they say that God's word is their ultimate standard. And so all of their curriculum will be through a biblical worldview. So that's just a heads up on everything else. But getting in specifically to their physical education program, they want to empower students with the knowledge and skills necessary for developing lifetime fitness and healthy habits. So they, just like at the national standard, want to make students physically active for a lifetime. So there's that. And then as we get in more specifically to the content and how their content leads to those program goals, they want to teach stuff covering personal fitness assessment, the 5 health-related physical fitness concepts, so muscular strength, endurance, flexibility, body composition. And then they also teach things on nutrition and how that relates to weight. They teach stress management. They promote self-awareness and responsibility for physical fitness. And also the consumer information, they have a small unit where they talk about how to read nutrition labels and how to understand what things mean when it says, fat-free or low sugar and stuff like that. So now I'm getting into the sources of where I got my information for this project. I was able to get 3 sources. So on their school website, they actually have a course description of every single class offered at the school for any grade. So I was able to go there and then I found the objectives and the goals of the program. So I thought that was really helpful there. That's where I found, their content breakdown and also their mission statement about empowering their students for a lifetime of physical activity. I also found a curriculum map. It was very, very general. It was very broad. It wasn't super specific. And I just broke down the yearly plan of the different lessons they would go over. And I actually have a picture of it on the next slide that I can show you some more. And I was also able to ask Mr. Weishart some questions through email. He unfortunately did not have any documents on hand for me to be able to look at, but he did answer some questions that I had about their assessments. So if you look over here, like I said, I was not able to get a copy of the daily lesson plans, the syllabus, or any of the other documents that Mr. Weishart might use, but aren't on the website or are not specifically given to students. I think that hurt a little bit because there are a lot of things that I thought were missing from the information I was able to gather. But if we're looking over here to the curriculum map, they have the term, they have 4 terms, and they have the unit they're doing, and then they have all their objectives. They have their faith integration because, like I said, biblical worldview is their whole thing. So all of their lessons will always relate back to their faith somehow. They have their instructional strategies, they have their resources, even if really there's only one resource right here, and they have their assessments. It doesn't really break down what the assessments are, how they'll be used, and also doesn't really break down their instructional strategies or how they'll be used, but they do have the general layout and the general overview of how everything will work in the class. And so that was super helpful when trying to determine a lot of stuff. Moving on to the accuracy analysis, I found that all the written curriculum was accurate and did use appropriate terminology. If you look back on that curriculum map, it has words like modified games, skill development, task analysis, stuff like that. So I think they always were very accurate with their information. I also really liked, I don't know if you saw it either, but if you look back on the curriculum map, it does show you where the lessons align with the national standards, I think showing its accurate information, which I really liked. And finally, because Praise Academy is a Christian-oriented school, like I said earlier, they relate all their information back to their faith, which I think helps make the content more relevant to their lives and more relevant to their life, after graduation or just outside of the classroom. There were some negatives to the accuracy analysis that I thought I should mention. I think the curriculum that was there was great and it was accurate, but I just feel like there was not a lot of depth to the documents I was able to receive when I was able to look at. It could be that there is a lot of other documents that would have everything in depth and have specific breakdown of different things, but I was unfortunately not able to get my hands on any of them. So I just felt like I didn't understand they would say they're going to use this instructional strategy, but not explain how they were going to use that instructional strategy, just that it was there. And they would say that they were going to have an assessment at the end of this unit, but never explain the assessment tool that was used. And I didn't find assessment anywhere on the written curriculum, which I thought was not good and was my biggest complaint, I guess, about the curriculum. I'll get more into that later. There's also no mention of safety anywhere, and there were all no pictures, graphs, diagrams, videos, or any other helpful visual concepts or learning tools to help explain their curriculum, which I thought was lacking there. And there was only one resource that I found. It was the Cooper Institute. They're a non-profit research facility that uses their research to be applied to teaching and for more effective teaching. So it's very reputable, but there's only one resource, and I doubt there was only one resource used when putting together the entire curriculum. But moving on from accuracy into acceptability, I will say that they are a Christian school, and so everything of what they would do will be in the values and beliefs of the Christian faith. I guess you could say that inherently that makes their curriculum biased and discriminatory towards those who are not Christian and do not hold those beliefs. But parents do send their children to the school by choice, and they pay by choice. So I kind of looked past that when analyzing this. So outside of the Christian aspect, I think that their curriculum was fair, and it does provide equity and equal opportunity for all their students to be physically educated. In addition to that, all their teachers, they say in their mission statement, are familiar and knowledgeable with all the state and national standards when it comes to all education, and that they look to make sure the students reach those state and national standards, but also go beyond that and reach the standards they have set for themselves as a school. So I thought that everything was acceptable. Moving on to the adherence to their goals, they always relate their lessons back to a biblical concept, usually using a verse. Most of these questions or answers I have here, I had to ask Mr. Weishart directly because I couldn't find them anywhere. Like I said, there were no assessment tools, so it's hard to say whether they were adhering to their goals because there's no way for me to check their assessment. I couldn't go in person and view a class or anything, but this is what Mr. Weishart was able to provide for me. But he was saying that they usually at the end of their lesson at the closure, they go over how what they did in class can relate back to their Christian faith, which I think is in line with their goals. They do have a pre and post FitnessGram/BMI assessment. I know that your personal fitness probably won't increase that much over the period of just 1 year, but they use that as a way for students to be able to assess their physical fitness themselves for after they graduate. Students are required to make a fitness portfolio as well of different fitness activities they do or want to do and that they can do moving forward, which I think helps them out different ways to stay active outside of the classroom. And on the health side of things, they are tested and assessed on, again, the 5 health-related fitness concepts: nutrition, mental, and emotional health. So that's pretty minimal on the mental emotional health one. Again, I didn't see any of that on the written curriculum, but this is what Mr. Weishaupt was able to provide for me, and which I really appreciated. So that's what I have there. So for my conclusion, overall, I think that is a good physical education program. I believe they do adhere to their standards, and they do a great job of making their content applicable and relevant to their life outside the classroom. The content that is there and is accurate and aligns with our state and national standards. But my biggest, or not my biggest concern, but the areas I think of improvement is that I don't think there's enough written on their curriculum. It does great for them to explain to me, what unit they're on and what their instructional strategies are, but they never explain how they're going to use those instructional strategies. There's no mention of assessments anywhere on the written curriculum that I was able to find, and I think that's a big problem. You need to know how you're assessing your students and making sure they're meeting the goals that you have set forth and set out. And they might have those in place, but they weren't written down anywhere that I found. So I really think that they need to list the assessment tools, whether it's a checklist, student observation, portfolio, rubrics, all that kind of stuff. I feel like should be on the written curriculum that I was not able to receive if it was there. And also, I think unfortunately they only offer the base level, like a required physical education class that usually people take as a freshman. I don't know if there's not enough funding or something like that, but an area I hope they can improve later on, in addition to adding their assessment tools in the written curriculum, is just having more than one PE class for those students, because physical education and physical activity doesn't end in ninth grade. So that's all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed, and hope to see you guys in Athens soon.